biosecurity, health in poor countries, worldwide water and food supply, the availability of energy. Our world is full of problems we can't solve. But that's not all. According to the United Nations Population Fund, the world's population will reach enormous proportions, with a projected number of 9.8 billion people in 2050. These people will also need food and nutrition to survive, and as the distribution of food is already unequal, this injustice will only increase. Meat is one of the most important components of a balanced diet, as it delivers proteins, fat, and essential trace elements and can prevent malnutrition. The meat production causes high environmental damage through the emission of greenhouse gases like ammonia and methane and massive farming, which is practiced on huge farms. Yet, 26% of the landmass of the Earth and 1/3 of the world's fresh water are taken by animal farming. Furthermore, to prevent disease transmission from animals to humans, the animals are also vaccinated prophylactically with antibiotics, which can lead to multi-drug resistant germs. So, what can we do? A very modern approach is the production of cultured meat. But what does this mean? The name is based on the Latin expression in vitro and means something like in the class. Colloquially, the whole thing is called laboratory meat. More specifically, this means to grow muscle and fat tissue to produce meat for human consumption. Culturing meat? How should this work? First, muscle-specific stem cells, so-called myosatellite cells, are taken from an animal by blood collection, for example from a cow. Now myoblasts are formed out of myosatellite cells by multiplying trillions of times in a nutrient medium. To further promote this, the myosatellite cells can also be stapled to microcarriers, which are then grown in a bioreactor. The microcarriers are small spheres, often made of plastic or proteins, into which the cells can be stored. Up to 25,000 liters of the nutrient medium is sufficient to supply 10,000 people with meat for 1 year. The myoblasts, which have diligently multiplied before, are now divided into smaller cell groups from which so-called myotubes arise, which are muscle tissue pieces. Later, these myotubes result in muscle fibers by excitation with electrical currents. The combination of 10,000 of these muscle fibers then forms a piece of meat. Separately, fat tissue can also be grown by stem cells taken from animals' fat tissue, which is then stored into the muscle fibers. To form a patty, the muscle fibers are mixed with salt and protein powder, and breadcrumbs are added to preserve the meat juices. Finally, you have the finished patty, which can be fried now. But why so much effort? Firstly, the production is very environmentally friendly because it requires 35 to 60% less energy, 95% less greenhouse gases, 96% less water, and 98% less land. Secondly, we clearly must state that we still need meat because there is almost nothing comparable that has such a high iron, protein, and B vitamin content as meat. Thirdly, it is simply an ethical aspect that could make this research so revolutionary. Until now, many animals are fattened and slaughtered after being kept in stalls for a lifetime. But as always, there are a few problems. On the one hand, a lot of research is still needed, and on the other hand, cultured meat is currently also very expensive. But if these difficulties can be overcome at some point, the possibilities are almost unlimited. So, one thing is for sure. If we want to keep our world for a few more decades, we must act. Cultured meat would be a first step that could relieve nature and make the world a little fairer.